Lowe's. Find the right flooring for the job in Lowe's newly redesigned flooring showroom. Shop our expanded assortment of trusted brands and get up to 35% off style selections, Stainmaster, and Stainmaster Pet Protect Special Order Carpet. And while you're here, save $100 on the DeWalt 20-volt max 6-amp-hour 2-pack of batteries. Now just $179. Get more of what you need faster and save more where it counts from the ground up. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 8/26 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can make me feel like a spectator in my own life.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine preventive treatment.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Somebody reached out to me the other day and asked about solar power. They saw a video, they contacted a salesperson, and then were led down the path of they can do everything with a battery. Thankfully, before they signed on the dotted line, they gave me a call. So let's talk about what the honest answer is when you're approached or you're thinking about going solar. Hi, my name is Bill Moore. I'm the Executive Director of the National Street Food Vendors Association, which is a nonprofit dedicated to education, advocacy, and uplifting all food vendors. So the problem, people want to avoid using a generator. They're loud, they're noisy, they can be smelly at times, especially if you use a diesel one. And then there's some states that are trying to eliminate the use of small engines. Don't ask me how people are going to cut their grass, but hey, there is a West Coast state trying to get rid of small engines. So here's the deal. Is solar power something viable for the average food truck? Because that's what most people have, is an average food truck. So let's look at that. Solar power is often marketed as a total solution. It's a generator killer, they'll say on a video. And they'll have somebody giving a testimonial that'll say, we haven't paid for fuel in 2 years. And it feels like a big success story. Some of what's out there promoting solar power is really closer to hype than it is answering basic engineering questions. Somebody that is interested in getting into this industry hears silent, sustainable, no more generator. And they get super excited about the story because, hey, there is not a marketer in the world that lies or exaggerates, is there? And then you'll have people that are a little bit more skeptical. And then they ask the really boring question of the salesperson. What's my actual power draw, and can solar power physically deliver that draw? And then please show me the math based on my specific food truck, not somebody that's selling coffee and has just one piece of equipment on the whole food truck. Because that changes what you're doing. It changes their sales pitch when you actually make them look at what you have. So let's kind of separate what's real from what's being oversold and is nothing but marketing hype. What does solar power actually do well? It can do lighting, LED lighting, awesome. Certainly your POS system, credit card reader, exhaust fans, a phone, having those things charged, and even some refrigeration are all realistic. And when I say some refrigeration, I mean small refrigeration. Those are realistic and well-proven solar panel, solar generator loads that can be handled. But what's needed is going to be a basic setup, a couple of panels, a lithium battery pack, an inverter to turn that DC into AC, and it's going to run $3,000 to $6,000 only handling those few pieces of equipment I just mentioned. Now, what I want you to notice, there's no heating, there's no cooking, there's no AC. So a lot of the things that are probably on your food truck or on your food truck dream layout aren't getting powered. So what that $3,000 to $6,000 setup does is it just takes a little bit of the load off your generator. Helpful, going to save a little bit of money, but it won't save you the tens of thousands that they talk about. That's a real honest win if you care about saving a little bit of money. But you got to think about what's the return on investment. I spend $6,000 to save $2,000 a year. It's going to take you 3 years just to get up to $6,000, provided you don't put any more money into the system. So it becomes a balancing act. Most salespeople don't talk about that. Where it gets really, really hard, and then where the marketing just goes off the rails, is high heat cooking equipment. So if you want to be off of propane, you want to be off of the generator, the gas powered generator. So your griddle, your fryer, your convection oven, guess what they do? They pull thousands of watts continuously. They don't cycle on and off. And if you're going to try to cover that completely on solar power, you're talking about a roof full of panels, a battery bank that's sized in the tens of kilowatt hours. Not 1 kilowatt hour, but multiple kilowatt hours, usually 10 or more. Could be bunches of 10. And then that system, the total cost $15,000 to $30,000. And guess what? You're still weather dependent. A cloudy day cuts your panel output by a large margin. You're not going to be getting anywhere fast if you don't have full production, meaning your equipment's cooking at its proper cooking temperature without some direct sun. A food truck roof only has so much usable square footage. And you don't want to take those things up and down and lay them on the ground because they get hot. There's going to be some kid walk over and touch it and get burned. And guess who's going to be at fault? You. Guess whose reputation gets ruined? You. Cloudy days cut into that output. And you're not getting anywhere near the full production without direct sunlight. So guess what happens if you're sitting in direct sunlight? Your food truck is heating up. Even if you're not cooking. That's a tin can with minimal insulation. Now, a food truck, if you think about it, only has so much square footage on top of that roof. So you're thinking maybe 80 feet. That would be an 8 by 10 with no hood and nothing else puncturing the roof, up to maybe 120 square feet. But guess what? If you're cooking with fryers and griddles and ovens, you most likely have a hood system that pierces the roof. And now you don't have as much square footage as you think. And guess what else those panels add when you stick them on the roof? They add weight. And they add weight in places that probably weren't reinforced. If you have a hood system, they probably reinforced the walls all around the hood. But they didn't do every single inch of that wall all the way down to the end. They only spent the money they needed to right around the hood to help hold the hood up in the walls and then reinforce the roof where the hood is attached. So when you start adding more weight, you're changing the structural integrity of the roof. Most marketing videos don't talk about that. Realistically, if you're going to go with solar, you're going to be some hybrid mix of a generator, solar, and propane. And that's where you can see some real successes. You need propane to cook on. That is a fact. Once you go into electric, and that's all solar power is DC battery power turned into AC, the alternating current that runs your electric griddle, fryers, and so forth. Guess what happens? Those pieces of equipment, even when you buy the high-end ones, are terribly inefficient. They take longer to recover, which slows down your ability to cook things in the same amount of time, the busier that you get. I have worked restaurants where we did not have natural gas. We did everything off electric, and it was terribly inefficient and super expensive. So if you think about that hybrid setup, so you've got propane doing all of your cookware, all your cooking appliance like normal, that's going to leave that solar power to take care of the things I mentioned at the top of the episode. The lights, a POS system, small refrigeration, maybe the hood system. The big refrigeration is going to need more consistent power. There's where your generator comes in. An AC system, same deal, more consistent power. So you're back to relying on your generator. You see, this isn't a compromised version of real solar power. It's the version that actually holds up against the average food truck that's going to be cooking. Again, not a drink truck. If all you do is sell lemonade, you can 100% go with solar power. You could probably get away with a Jackery. If you do iced coffee and only have that one machine, probably you can do solar power.
Pros, find the right flooring for the job in Lowe's newly redesigned flooring showroom. Shop our expanded assortment of trusted brands and get up to 35% off style selections, StainMaster, and StainMaster Pet Protect Special Order Carpet. And while you're here, save $100 on the DeWalt 20-volt max 6-amp-hour 2-pack of batteries. Now just $179. Get more of what you need faster and save more where it counts from the ground up. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 8/26 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can make me feel like a spectator in my own life.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine preventive treatment.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
One of the advertisements that I've seen in the testimonials is a coffee truck. And they talk about the draw that their big espresso machine uses. Well, that's exciting. But you know what? It only draws power when you kick the thing on. Whereas if you're cooking burgers, that griddle's on whether there's 20 burgers on it or one or none. You don't turn it off and wait for someone to come order, because an espresso machine does sit at idle, not drawing any power until you push the button and tell it to produce something. So it's not a constant pull. But let's talk about how awesome it is to be able to do it on solar power. It's misleading. And salespeople don't want to go down the path of truthfulness, because if they do, then they have to talk to you about, well, you're probably going to need to have a backup. There's a barbecue truck that I know very well. They have a ridiculous amount of batteries, like 6 feet worth of batteries, added a ton of weight. And it'll go a whole, he said, about 24 hours before they need to recharge. That's awesome, but they're not constantly cooking. They're not constantly heating. Solar has its place. And if you are so inclined to want to be sustainable, just understand that you either got to modify your menu so that the solar power can handle it, or you're going to have some hybrid approach of at least propane with that solar. So here's what you really want to do before you spend a single penny. List your baseline electrical load needs. Lighting, POS system, refrigeration, and the hood system. Keep those things separate from the cooking equipment, because that's two different conversations, especially if you're going to go with electric cooking equipment. If you're only trying to cover that baseline, again, the baseline being lighting and POS and small refrigeration, the hood system, you can probably do it. Just make sure you have that solar output being more than what you actually list as your needs are now. If someone's actively pitching you or marketing to you about a full solar replacement for your generator that's also going to cover your cooking equipment, ask for their actual peak sun hours math. Peak sun hours math for your specific area. Because guess what? Some parts of the country are different, and you should know this, than others. Closer you are to the equator, the more sun you get. You don't want them citing a national average, because you don't live in the national, you live somewhere local. You want your actual conditions. Don't treat whatever math the sales rep shows you as a promise written in stone, and definitely don't believe anything AI generated as a verifiable fact, because this is real money you're going to be investing, and you don't need some made up numbers that don't actually work when you get out there. And it's also going to help you make that decision between that 5,000 hybrid setup or the 25 to 30,000 full system setup that they're going to try to sell you on. At a very well-known battery and solar panel company I reached out to. I wanted to know more about their system because so many people ask me, and I don't know. So I reached out to them, talked to somebody's pretty high up in the company. At least they said they were. And we talked a good hour. He shared all kinds of numbers with me. Come down to pretty much anything I figure out to him. Yep, we can do that. Yep, we can do that. Yep, we can do that. So I said, send me the spreadsheet you're talking about, because he shared a spreadsheet on the Zoom call and was typing in a bunch of numbers. And of course, it spit out that anything that I wanted, they could do. And my thought was, okay, that's a sales gimmick, because there has to be some things you all cannot do, and it would behoove you to admit it. Because now you're making me feel like you're being legitimate as opposed to, yep, batteries will do anything. There's limitations to everything. So when I asked for that spreadsheet so I could verify the math, oh no, I can't do that. It's proprietary. I can't send it to you. Why? Math is not proprietary, goofball. So what you're telling me is there's some fuzzy logic built in within your system, and you don't want that logic exposed. Because math is math. It's either provable or it's not. And if you're unwilling to share it, that means you have taken liberties with the math, and you don't want to be exposed or debated on it. So I ended the conversation and will not recommend them ever. If you're going to be that dishonest during a sales pitch, during a I want to get to know about your company opportunity, sorry, just not going to happen. Because once you cross that path of me questioning your integrity, that's a real hard thing to claw back. If you guys want to do solar, do the math. Make them prove that the output of their system, whatever it is, will exceed your needs. If they cannot exceed your needs and guarantee the consistency across the time you plan on being open, you don't want to buy their product. And when they start giving you, well, it's this range, it should last you 4 to 8. When they start talking ranges, just go with the lowest number, because the highest number means you're not using much of it. So when they say, yeah, you get 4 to 8 hours. Okay, so really what you're saying is I'll probably get 3 good hours, maybe 4, but nothing else. Because they're trained to tell you how awesome the system is, because they got to make a sale. You're the one who has to live with that decision every single day. So the bottom line, can you do a food truck solely on solar power? Most likely not. Because when I say food truck, I'm talking about cooking food. I'm not talking about making drinks and having some cute little light blinking. I'm talking about real cooking, real holding, and all of that takes some power. If you're doing, like I said, a lemonade truck, a coffee truck, dirty soda truck, you can probably get away with solar power and it'll be cool. It'll keep everything lit up. You'll look nice and neat. You won't be loud. But at the point you decide that, hey, I'm going to add a waffle iron and start selling something hot, your solar power ain't going to keep up, because you've changed the equation of the output of your business needs, and most likely you didn't over-purchase thinking about growth. I would only do solar power to reduce the strain on my generator, because I know I need AC. It gets darn hot in Florida, and I don't really think that the average solar power setup is going to keep my AC running without adding a whole lot more weight. Because if you think about the weight that gets added, even if your build is structurally engineered to handle the additional weight of the batteries and the solar power, the solar panels, what's that doing to your tow vehicle? Because you got to figure out the wear and tear that's being added to it because of the additional weight. If you want to do solar, go for it. Just make sure the math works out for you. Thank you guys so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding everything helpful that we do, please consider subscribing. If you love what we do, show some support. We got a couple of links in the description. Go to nsfva.org. Join our association. $19 a month. All kinds of live coaching, live training, recorded training. We can help you be successful, but you got to take the first step.